There are two reasons why memory is so important. On one hand, memory creates a link between us, the past, and the future. Memory gives us an idea that we are not on our own, but we're part of a long process called human history, that our judgments, our deeds, on one hand, are based on certain things that happened before us. On the other hand, they have huge impact on the future. We're responsible not only for what happens to us, but also for what happens to the entire humankind. Second reason why memory is so important, because it very much helps us to understand our own motivation, to understand how we can work for the improvement of the world. It also helps us to remember what mistakes, what improper things have been done in the past and work on ourselves. Memory is never about the past, it's always about the future.
Hi, my name is Dr. Richard Plavniks, and this is what I think about memory. There are two major European countries that had ghastly totalitarian regimes in the 20th century, Germany and Russia. That's not an exclusive list, but those are the two main ones. And that ghastly regime was defeated in Germany in 1945. And starting in the 1950s, the West German government began to arrest and prosecute and imprison Germans who committed crimes at the behest of the Nazi Party. The West German government opened all of the archives and allowed unfettered access by scholars to all of the information pertaining to Nazi Germany. They incorporated Holocaust education into their curricula and have taken other steps to reckon with the past, a process that the Germans call Vergangenheitsbewältigung. The noxious totalitarian regime that was in charge in Russia collapsed at the end of 1991, and no people who committed crimes at the behest of the Communist Party were ever prosecuted by the Russian government. They have not incorporated serious reckonings of any kind into their school curricula. And all of the archives in Russia are closed. There was a brief moment, a glimmer in the 1990s when it looked like maybe Russian society would face up to what their government did to all of their country's neighbors and to their own people, but that moment never actually came. And so that, I think, explains the difference in political culture right now between Germany and Russia, and the difference in how they relate to their neighbors. So understanding one's own country's past and reckoning with it seriously isn't just the right thing to do, but it's also necessary for the future of peace and security. And that goes for the United States too. The United States has to reckon with all of the terrible things in our history. And that's an imperative. It's a moral imperative, and it's also it's an imperative if you want to live in a peaceful society where people are happy, and if you want to live in a peaceful country that doesn't attack its neighbors.
My name is Karen Syme, and my great aunt Harriet was deported from Hamburg in 1941 and died, as far as we know, at Jungfernhof camp. When I found out the name Jungfernhof through just researching some family history a few years ago, it was the first we'd heard of it. I'd never heard of the camp at all, despite having my family and I having a great deal of interest in Holocaust history. And it bothered me that, well, at two levels, that there could be a camp where thousands of people died that might be forgotten entirely from history. And the fact that that's one of the closest relatives I have that we know was killed in the Holocaust ended up at this camp. And there's two levels of forgetting there, trying to keep the memory of her alive in our family, but also at the same time to keep alive the memory of what happened at Jungfernhof, because I think it's as important as ever nowadays, more important even as memories fade, to keep Holocaust history alive. And if we start forgetting pieces of it, like if Jungfernhof passes from memory, that's wrong. And if we can illustrate, or personalize the story by telling what happened to our relative and what her loss did to our family members, I think it's important to keep those kind of memories, both the larger and the more intimate family memories, going as best we can.
My name is Fred Saarburger. I'm 92 years old. I live in Cedarhurst, New York for the last 62 years in the same house. And I was deported from Germany in November 27, 1941. I was not quite 12 years old. And I was taken to Riga, Latvia, and was taken to the camp called Jungfernhof. I'm the only one survived from my family. We all survived Jungfernhof. We all survived after Riga and Kaiserwald, and we were taken to Stutthof. And that was the last time I saw my mother, my sister, and my father, and other aunts and uncles, but they were already not with us anymore. They were taken to Jungfernhof and didn't see them anymore. And I was born in Würzburg, Germany in 1929, and we lived a normal religious life till Hitler came to power, and my father was taken to Buchenwald already in 1938, Kristallnacht, and he was there for 9 weeks and came. And I live here in Cedarhurst with my family. I mean, my children are all grown, and I've grown grandchildren, and we live a pretty normal life. I mean, I will never forget what happened. I mean, why should we forget? The world is in terrible shape right now. So whatever we know, look at Israel, look at Ukraine, wherever it is, it's not in the best of shape.
My name is Herbert May, M-A-I. I'm born August 29, 1929, in Germany, in a city called Würzburg. And we had to go meet in a railroad station, about 400 German Jews, and they took us to Nuremberg first, and then on the way to Riga, Latvia. And there was a camp there, where they put us there, and it was like a farm. I took care of the animals, of the cows and the sheep. I used to take them in the morning I used to take them on the grounds where they were grazing. And in the evening I used to take them back home. One day there was a woman, a little woman. She looked at that time like she was 90 years old. And every day she brought me a little bit of food. I never spoke to her, never talked to her, but every day there was a little brook, and over the brook there was a little bridge, and she put a pot with some soup or stew underneath the bridge, and I ate it, and I was glad to have something to eat. I was 13 years old, and I lost my parents. They went to Auschwitz, and they got killed there. And I was all alone. I didn't have no brothers, no sisters, no aunt, no uncle. I had to scrounge for myself to stay alive. They could shoot and kill any Jew, and there was no punishment. They just took them and buried them. Well, there's really no reason why you should remember because you only hope it will not happen again. But you see it right now, it's happening in the Ukraine, and somehow it's a different time today. At least we have a country which called Israel. We have more power than we ever had before. That's wonderful.
Hi, my name is Karen Frostig. Memory is about the most basic capacity to be human. Memory is individual, it is collective, it is intangible, it is with us every minute we breathe. Memory is part of what envelops us in this world and sustains us. Memory is also a place of hope and meaning because of its capacity to connect us to each other. In a world that is torn apart, memory allows us to come together, to listen carefully to each other, to come closer, and to understand what it means to be human.